The champagne glass slipped from my fingers as memories flooded back. My husband smiling at my funeral, my best friend wearing my jewelry, my family fortune drained to nothing. "I won't be marrying Alex tomorrow," I announced to my stunned parents. Mother's eyes widened. "What do you mean, Olivia?" I smiled calmly, though my heart raced. "Because in my past life he killed all of us for our family fortune, and this time I'm going to destroy him first. The clock was already ticking to save my family, expose my traitorous fiancé and best friend, and rewrite my destiny, all while ignoring the protective way our family's mysterious new business partner kept looking at me." Silence fell across our dining room. The shattered crystals sparkled under the chandelier light, wine pooling like blood on our cream marble floor. I stared at it, momentarily transfixed. That's how they found me in my past life, sprawled across marble, poison in my veins, with Alex calmly emptying the safe. "Olivia." My father's voice snapped me back to reality. "Are you unwell?" I looked up to see them, my parents, alive and breathing. Mom's familiar lavender perfume wafted across the table. Dad's reading glasses perched on his nose, the same ones I'd kept for years after his accident. The weight of seeing them again made my chest tighten. "I'm perfectly fine," I managed. "Just had a moment of clarity." Mother signaled for the housekeeper to clean up the mess. "What nonsense are you talking about? The rehearsal dinner is tomorrow night, and you're standing here making dramatic pronouncements." I straightened my shoulders. In my previous life I'd been the perfect, obedient daughter. The compliant wife. The trusting fool who signed everything Alex put in front of me. Not this time. "I need to show you something." I pulled out my phone, scrolling to photos I'd taken earlier of financial documents in Father's study. "Have you noticed these transactions? 3 shell companies, all tracing back to Alex's family's holding corporation, have been acquiring minority stakes in Johnson Industries subsidiaries." Father's brow furrowed as he took the phone. "How did you?" "That's not important." I kept my voice steady. "What matters is that Alex isn't marrying me for love. He's positioning himself to take control of everything you've built." "This is outrageous," Mother exclaimed. "Alex comes from a good family. His father and your father have been friends for 20 years, I know. Just long enough to execute a perfect long con." I pulled up another document. "Did you know his family business was nearly bankrupt 3 years ago? Right before he suddenly became interested in your boring daughter who never dated." Father studied the phone intently, his expression darkening. "These are private corporate documents. How did you access these?" I hadn't planned on revealing everything so soon, but the memories were too vivid. Mother's funeral 6 months after my own, father's destroyed reputation, our family name dragged through financial scandal. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." I took a deep breath. "Let's just say I know things. Things that haven't happened yet." A knock at the door interrupted us as Jensen, our butler, entered. "Mr. Morgan has arrived for his appointment, sir." Father checked his watch. "I completely forgot. Show him to my study, please." "Ethan Morgan?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. The mysterious business partner who'd tried to warn me in my past life, after it was too late. "Yes, the merger consultant I mentioned last week." Father frowned. Though I don't recall using his first name. My pulse quickened. Ethan had appeared in our lives just weeks before my wedding in both timelines. Last time I'd barely noticed him, too consumed with wedding preparations. But now, "I'll greet him," I offered quickly. "You'll want time to review those documents." Before they could object, I left the dining room and headed toward the study. I needed allies, and something told me Ethan Morgan might be my best option. He stood examining the family photographs lining the hallway, tall and composed in a tailored charcoal suit. When he turned, recognition flashed in his eyes. Impossible, since we'd never officially met in this timeline. "Miss Johnson," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard much about you." I accepted his handshake, noting how his eyes seemed to search mine. "Funny, I was about to say the same about you, Mr. Morgan." He held my gaze a moment too long. "Your wedding is tomorrow, correct?" "Congratulations." "The wedding is cancelled," I replied flatly. Though we haven't announced it yet. His expression remained carefully neutral, but something, relief, flickered behind his eyes. I see. Recent decision. Very recent. About 5 minutes ago. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Tell me, Mr. Morgan, what do you know about Alexander Pierce and his sudden interest in a merger with Johnson Industries? Ethan glanced toward the dining room, then back at me. Perhaps we should speak somewhere more private. My thoughts exactly. I turned toward the garden doors. After you. As we walked outside, my mind raced with possibilities. 24 hours ago, in this life, I had been a blushing bride, excitedly preparing for my wedding. Now I was plotting corporate espionage against my fiancé with a stranger who somehow felt familiar. The garden air was cool against my skin as I closed the doors behind us. I had approximately 18 hours before Alex would expect to see me at the altar. 18 hours to convince my parents I wasn't having a nervous breakdown, gather enough evidence to expose Alex's plan, and somehow prevent the tragedy I'd already lived through once. I turned to Ethan Morgan, the wild card in this new timeline. So, Mr. Morgan, shall we discuss how my fiancé plans to destroy my family? The garden's privacy hedges shielded us from view as Ethan Morgan studied me with calculating precision. You've changed, he said simply. I tensed. What do you mean? We've never officially met. No, but I've observed you at several Johnson Industries events. Yesterday, you were preoccupied with flower arrangements and seating charts. Today, his eyes narrowed. Today you're investigating shell companies and questioning your fiancé's motives. Something happened. I weighed my options carefully. Claiming past life memories would sound delusional, but I needed his help. Let's just say I received some information that opened my eyes, I said cautiously. What can you tell me about Alexander Pierce? Ethan considered me for a long moment before reaching into his jacket. He withdrew a slim leather portfolio and handed it to me. I was planning to give this to your father, but perhaps you should see it first. Inside were financial reports, corporate registrations, and newspaper clippings. My fingers trembled as I recognized the pattern. Identical to what happened in my past life. 3 years ago, Pierce Holdings nearly collapsed, Ethan explained. Then Alexander began dating the daughters of wealthy businessmen. Each relationship followed by strategic investments, mergers, or acquisitions. Each family business subsequently dismantled and sold for parts. I flipped through pages detailing the wreckage Alex had left behind. You've been tracking him. Since he destroyed my uncle's company. The Pierce family has perfected the art of corporate dismantling while maintaining a spotless public image. My mind raced. And my father invited you to consult on the merger without knowing your connection to Alex? Your father appreciates my reputation for thorough due diligence. A hint of a smile appeared. He doesn't know my personal interest in the Pierce family. I closed the portfolio. Decision made. I need proof of what Alex is planning with Johnson Industries specifically. Documents, recordings, anything concrete. That won't be easy. Alex is careful. Not careful enough, I replied. He's been meeting his accomplice in the Westbrook Hotel, my supposed best friend Vanessa. Ethan's eyebrows rose slightly. Interesting. When is their next meeting? If this timeline remains consistent, she's meeting him in approximately. I checked my watch, catching myself. They're likely meeting today. Vanessa mentioned wedding errands this afternoon. Ethan caught my slip but didn't comment. Then I suggest we follow her. An hour later, we sat in Ethan's sleek black sedan across from the Westbrook Hotel. I wore large sunglasses and a scarf. Minimal disguise, but enough to avoid immediate recognition. There, I pointed as Vanessa's red convertible pulled into the parking garage. We followed at a distance, watching her enter through the side entrance. The hotel lobby bustled with business travelers and tourists. She's heading for the elevators, Ethan noted. We need the floor. I moved toward the reception desk, conjuring tears. Excuse me, I sniffled to the sympathetic receptionist. My sister, there she is, forgot her medicine. Our mother just had surgery and she's supposed to track her medications. Which room is Alex Pearson? She's meeting him now. The receptionist hesitated, then checked her computer. Mr. Pierce is in suite 1214. I dabbed my fake tears. Thank you so much. Rejoining Ethan, I whispered, 12th floor, suite 1214. We took the next elevator up, maintaining casual conversation like any business associates. When the doors opened, I nearly collided with a room service cart. The collision sent several covered dishes tumbling, creating a magnificent crash. I'm so sorry, I exclaimed, frantically helping the flustered server. Ethan smoothly slipped the server a $100 bill. No harm done. We'll help clean up. As we gathered scattered silverware, I whispered, there's a service corridor that runs behind the suites. We can listen through the vents. Ethan gave me a questioning look. I used to explore hotels as a child. I improvised, though actually I'd learned about the layout after Alex used the same hotel for meeting his lawyers in my past life. We slipped into the service corridor, finding the maintenance access panel for suite 1214. Through it, Alex's voice carried clearly. Wedding is just the beginning. Once we're married, I'll have legal access to everything. Johnson doesn't suspect a thing. And what about me? Vanessa's voice, petulant and demanding. You promised once you had control. And I'll deliver, Alex assured her. Olivia will be devastated when she discovers her husband and best friend are in love. She'll sign whatever divorce terms I put in front of her just to escape the humiliation. My blood boiled hearing them discuss my manipulation so casually. There's more, Vanessa said. Her father's been taking those new medications. The ones with the rare side effects. Perfect, Alex replied. A tragic health crisis in the family right when they need strong leadership. The board will practically beg me to step in. I looked at Ethan, whose expression had darkened considerably. It wasn't just business. They were planning to harm my father. I need to record this, I whispered, reaching for my phone. The movement shifted my weight, causing the metal grate to creak loudly. Inside the suite, silence fell. What was that? Alex demanded. Probably just maintenance, Vanessa replied. Check it, he ordered. Footsteps approached the wall. Ethan grabbed my arm, pulling me quickly down the corridor. We rounded the corner just as the access panel opened behind us. We need to leave, Ethan whispered. Now. Back in the car, my hands shook with fury and adrenaline. They're planning to harm my father. The same medication complications that killed him in my... I stopped myself. Ethan stared at me intently. In your what, Olivia? I took a deep breath. You wouldn't believe me. Try me. In my past life, I said finally. I've lived this all before. I married Alex tomorrow. 6 months later, I was dead. 3 months after that, both my parents were gone. Alex inherited everything. Instead of dismissing me as crazy, Ethan nodded slowly. That explains your sudden transformation. He started the car. We need to check on your father's medication immediately. We returned to the Johnson estate in tense silence. The reality of Alex's planned attack on my father had shaken me to my core. Not again. Not this time. Your father takes cardioxylin? Ethan asked as we pulled through the security gates. I nodded. Started 2 months ago. In my previous life, the autopsy eventually revealed it had been tampered with, molecular alterations that created a toxic compound when combined with certain foods. Untraceable unless specifically sought, Ethan mused. And by the time anyone suspected. It was too late, I finished. Alex had already assumed control of the company. The sprawling mansion came into view, its windows glowing warmly against the dusk. Family photos lined the entrance hall, happy moments from a timeline where disaster hadn't struck yet. My father's booming laughter echoed from his study. I need to see his medication, I said. We found him reviewing the documents I'd shown him earlier, mother sitting tensely beside him. Olivia, father looked up, his expression grave. These allegations against Alex are true, I interrupted. And worse than you know. Where's your heart medication? He blinked at my directness. In my bathroom cabinet, but what? Dad, I need you to stop taking it immediately. Mother stood alarmed. Olivia, that's dangerous. The doctor was very clear. The medication has been tampered with, Ethan interjected smoothly. Or soon will be. It's part of Alexander Pierce's strategy. My parents stared at him, then at me. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Perhaps introductions are in order, Mother said stiffly. Ethan Morgan, he supplied, extending his hand. Corporate security specialist. Your husband hired me to review the merger, but I've been tracking Alexander Pierce for years. Father's eyes narrowed. Explain. Dad, we don't have time, I insisted. We need to secure your medication for testing, check all the food and drinks in the house, and cancel tomorrow's events. Absolutely not, Mother exclaimed. We have 200 guests arriving, the governor included. We cannot cancel based on wild accusations and supposed tampering with no evidence. A familiar stubbornness I'd forgotten. In my past life, this same insistence on propriety and appearances had prevented us from seeing the danger until it was too late. Mrs. Johnson, Ethan said gently, your daughter's concerns warrant investigation regardless of inconvenience. Mother bristled at being challenged. And who exactly are you to our family, Mr. Morgan? Before he could answer, Jensen appeared at the doorway. Miss Vanessa has arrived, madam. My heart skipped. I wasn't prepared to face her yet. Perfect timing, Mother declared. Vanessa will talk sense into Olivia. She swept toward the door, but I grabbed her arm. Mom, Vanessa's working with Alex. Don't tell her anything. Mother shook off my hand. This is ridiculous. Vanessa has been your friend since childhood. And Alex has been my fiancé for 3 years, I countered. People change. Or reveal their true selves. Father stood, his presence commanding the room. Let's all calm down. Jensen, tell Vanessa that Olivia is resting and unavailable. Then bring Mr. Morgan and me a brandy in my study. Mother opened her mouth to protest, but Father silenced her with a look. After 30 years of marriage, they had their own silent language. Victoria, please check on the rehearsal dinner arrangements, he said meaningfully. Understanding dawned in her eyes. She would keep Vanessa occupied. Once they departed, Father turned to me. Now I want the whole truth, Olivia. No more partial explanations. You might want something stronger than brandy, I warned. In the privacy of his study, I explained everything. The shell companies, the hotel conversation, the medication tampering. I left out only my past life memories, substituting an anonymous tip from one of Alex's previous victims. Father's face grew stonier with each revelation, the reality of his misjudgment settling in. When I finished, he walked to his desk and placed a call. Dr. Winters? Richard Johnson. I need you to analyze my medication immediately. Yes, tonight. It's potentially compromised. While Father arranged for the testing, Ethan produced more documents from his portfolio. Alex's previous targets, he explained. The pattern is identical each time. Father examined them, his expression darkening. These families, I know them. The Harises, the Winthrops. Reputable businesses, all mysteriously collapsed after Alexander's involvement. Tomorrow's merger signing gives him significant leverage, Ethan noted. Once those documents are executed. A crash from downstairs interrupted us. Raised voices followed. Mother and Vanessa arguing. You don't understand, Vanessa shouted. I need to see Olivia now. I tensed, exchanging glances with Ethan and my father. Had Vanessa realized we knew? The study door burst open. Vanessa stood there, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She looked wildly between us, then directly at me. Olivia, she gasped. Alex knows you've been investigating him. He's moving everything forward. The accounts, the transfers, all of it. He told me to keep you distracted while he meets with your father's board members tonight. My jaw dropped. What? I can't do this anymore, she continued, voice breaking. He promised we'd be together, but I saw messages on his phone. I'm just another pawn to him like all the others. Father stood, face flushed with anger. What board meeting? Emergency session at the Ritz, Vanessa said. He's telling them you're mentally unstable, that you've been making concerning decisions. He has documentation, forged obviously, showing erratic trading patterns under your authorization codes. Father grabbed his phone, dialing frantically. Herbert? Cancel that meeting at the Ritz. Yes, the one ale. He paused, listening. His face drained of color. When did this start? I see. No, I'm perfectly well. That's precisely my point. He lowered the phone slowly. Dad. I prompted. The meeting began 30 minutes ago, he said hollowly. The board is already reviewing evidence of my supposed cognitive decline and considering temporary leadership alternatives. Vanessa collapsed into a chair. I'm sorry. I thought I was in love with him. I didn't know he'd go this far. I stared at her, torn between rage at her betrayal and grudging appreciation for her warning. In my past life, she'd maintained the charade until the bitter end. Ethan checked his watch. We can still stop this. But we need to move now. The Ritz-Carlton's elegant facade loomed before us as Father's driver pulled to the curb. The doorman recognized Richard Johnson immediately, rushing to open the car door with deferential efficiency. Good evening, Mr. Johnson. The Monarch Room, sir. Father nodded curtly. The four of us, Father, Ethan, Vanessa and myself, moved through the lobby with purpose. My heart pounded against my ribs. In my previous life I'd never witnessed this part, the corporate assassination that preceded the physical ones. Remember, Ethan murmured as we rode the elevator, Alex believes he has surprise on his side. That's our advantage. Father straightened his tie, fury radiating from him in almost palpable waves. No one attempts to steal my company and endangers my family without consequences. The elevator doors opened to the executive floor. Through glass doors I could see them, the 12 members of Johnson Industries' board of directors seated around a mahogany table, Alex standing at the head with a laser pointer directed at financial projections. They can't just remove you, I whispered to Father. There are procedures, votes. Temporary emergency powers, Father replied grimly. Rarely invoked, but legal when the CEO is deemed incapacitated or compromised. Vanessa clutched my arm. He has documents, medical evaluations, psychiatric assessments, all forgeries but convincing ones. I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. Then let's show them who's really compromised. Father pushed open the doors without announcement. Conversation ceased instantly as 12 heads turned in our direction. Alex froze mid-sentence, the laser pointer still illuminating catastrophic revenue projections. Richard, Morton Blackwell, the board chairman, rose in surprise. We understood you were indisposed. Evidently, Father replied dryly. My condition has been greatly exaggerated. He strode to the head of the table, forcing Alex to step aside. Though I am curious about these financial projections I've apparently authorized. Alex recovered quickly, his handsome features arranging into concerned sympathy. Richard, we're all worried about you. These episodes of confusion are fabrications, Ethan interrupted, stepping forward. He placed his portfolio on the table. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Ethan Morgan. I'm a corporate security specialist hired by Mr. Johnson to investigate irregularities surrounding the proposed merger. This is highly inappropriate, Alex protested. This meeting is for board members only. As legal counsel to the board, Barbara Chin interjected, I believe we should hear Mr. Morgan out given Mr. Johnson's presence. Alex's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composed facade. Of course. Though I must note Richard's increasingly erratic behavior, bringing his daughter and her friend to a confidential board meeting, hardly inspires confidence. I stepped forward. Actually, I have every right to be here as the named successor in my father's living trust. I'd made this change just yesterday, though in this timeline, it had been years ago. And Vanessa is here to explain her role in your scheme, Alex. The color drained from his face as Vanessa moved to stand beside me. His eyes narrowed dangerously. What are you doing? The right thing, she replied, her voice trembling but determined. Finally. Ethan distributed documents to each board member. This evidence demonstrates a pattern of corporate sabotage orchestrated by Alexander Pierce. His family's company has targeted at least 4 other family-owned businesses using identical methods. Alex laughed, though the sound held no humor. This is absurd. Richard, control your daughter's jealous tantrum before she embarrasses herself further. Father remained unervingly calm. Morton, the medical documentation Alex provided, did it come from Dr. Allison's office? The chairman nodded. Call Dr. Allison, Father challenged. Right now. As Morton reached for his phone, Alex interjected. This is a waste of valuable time. Which you seem suddenly eager to preserve, I noted. Strange, considering you arranged this emergency session. Dr. Ellison's crisp voice came through the speakerphone. This is Dr. Ellison. Doctor, Morton began, we have documentation from your office regarding Richard Johnson's cognitive status. I haven't evaluated Richard Johnson in over 8 months, the doctor interrupted. His last physical showed excellent health. A murmur ran through the room. Alex's confident smile faltered. Furthermore, Father added, the medication I've been prescribed is being tested for tampering as we speak. Alex's eyes darted to the door, calculating. I recognized that look, the predator sensing a trap. This is a simple misunderstanding, he insisted. Clearly there's been a clerical error with the medical records. And the forged financial authorizations? Ethan challenged. Also clerical errors? I don't know what you're talking about, Alex replied coldly. Vanessa stepped forward. Yes, you do. You showed me the documents yourself. You explained how you'd created false trading histories using Richard's credentials. The board members exchanged alarmed glances. Barbara Chin was already typing frantically on her tablet. She's obviously lying, Alex sneered. Vanessa has been unstable since her father cut her off financially. Ask Olivia, they've been friends for years. I met his gaze steadily. Yes, we have. Which is why I know exactly when she's telling the truth. I turned to the board. Check the authorization logs. You'll find transactions supposedly initiated by my father that occurred when he was in Tokyo last month, with several of you. Morton nodded to Barbara, who continued her rapid investigation. Alex's composure cracked further. This is ridiculous. I am trying to save this company from Richard's declining leadership. Found it, Barbara announced. Multiple high-risk trades executed using Richard's credentials during the Tokyo conference. The IP addresses trace back to. She looked up, eyes widening. Pierce Holdings. Alex lunged for the door, but Ethan was faster, blocking his path. You're making a terrible mistake, Alex hissed, his charming mask completely dissolved. My family will destroy all of you. I stepped toward him, savoring the moment I'd been denied in my previous life. No, Alex. You're the one who made the mistake, thinking I would ever marry you. Security escorted Alex from the boardroom, his threats echoing down the corridor. The board members sat in stunned silence, processing the evidence of his elaborate scheme. I moved to immediately suspend all merger proceedings with Pierce Holdings, Morton Blackwell finally declared. The vote was unanimous. As the meeting adjourned, Barbara Chin approached us. The company will pursue legal action, of course, she said. We'll need statements from all of you. Father nodded wearily. Tomorrow. Tonight, I need to be with my family. The drive home passed in exhausted silence. We'd won the first battle, but I knew better than to believe the war was over. In my previous life, Alex had proven remarkably resilient. His family's connections ran deep. Mother was waiting in the foyer, her face tight with anxiety. What happened? The rehearsal dinner guests will arrive in 2 hours. Father embraced her. The dinner is cancelled, Victoria. So is the wedding. Mother's eyes widened as Father explained what had transpired. She sank onto a chair, hand pressed to her lips. I can't believe it. Alex seemed so perfect. That was the point, Vanessa said quietly. She stood awkwardly near the doorway as if uncertain of her welcome. He spent years crafting that image. Mother turned to her, eyes hardening. And you helped him? Yes, Vanessa admitted. I did. I studied my former best friend, the woman who had worn my jewelry at my funeral, who had moved into my house after my death. Yet here she was, having warned us when it mattered most. Why, Vanessa? I asked. Why betray me in the first place? She looked down, tears welling. It started small. Alex convinced me you didn't appreciate everything you had. The wealth, the family, the security. Things I'd lost when my parents divorced. She wiped her eyes. He made me feel special, chosen. By the time I realized what we were really doing, I was already implicated. And tonight? Father pressed. What changed? I saw his messages to someone named Diana, she replied. Plans for after he handled the Johnson situation. Intimate messages. Her voice broke. I was just another tool like all the others. I remembered Diana from my past life. The woman Alex had eventually married after my death. History repeating itself, though differently this time. You should go, Mother said firmly to Vanessa. We're grateful for your warning tonight, but that doesn't erase your betrayal. Vanessa nodded, accepting the judgment. As she turned to leave, I caught her arm. The authorities will have questions, I said. Stay at the Greenbrier Hotel tonight. Use my name, they'll give you a suite. Tomorrow you'll need to tell them everything. Surprise flickered across her face. Why would you help me? Because everyone deserves a chance to make things right, I replied, thinking of my own second chance at life. After she departed, Jensen appeared. Madam, there's a Detective Warner here. He says it's regarding Mr. Pierce. Father frowned. Already? That was fast. The detective was a stern-faced woman in her 40s. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I apologize for the intrusion, but we've detained Alexander Pierce attempting to access your personal residence. Mother gasped. Here? But the security system was disabled, Detective Warner confirmed. Your groundskeeper noticed suspicious activity and called it in. Mr. Pierce had extensive break-in equipment and a concealed weapon. My blood ran cold. This hadn't happened in my previous timeline. Alex had waited, been more patient. My actions had accelerated his plans, and his desperation. He claimed he was retrieving personal belongings, the detective continued, but given the circumstances. He has no belongings here, Father stated firmly. Detective Warner nodded. We found something else concerning in his vehicle. She produced an evidence bag containing vials and syringes. Preliminary tests indicate a compound similar to what's used in certain. She paused, choosing her words carefully, untraceable poisonings. Mother sank back into her chair, face ashen. Ethan moved closer to me, his hand finding mine. We'll need formal statements, Detective Warner said. And security footage from your estate if available. Of course, Father agreed. Whatever you need. After arranging to meet at the station the following morning, Detective Warner departed. He was coming to silence us, I said quietly. All of us. Father ran a hand through his silver hair. We need to alert our guests. The wedding is officially cancelled. I'll handle it, Mother said, suddenly resolute. She straightened her shoulders, years of social grace taking over. I'll send notifications tonight. We'll cite a family emergency. As my parents retreated to Father's study to draft the announcement, Ethan and I remained in the foyer. The grandfather clock ticked solemnly in the silence. Thank you, I said finally. For believing me. For helping us. His expression softened. I've been tracking Alex for years. When I saw the changes in you today, the sudden awareness, I knew something extraordinary had happened. I studied him, the question that had been nagging me finally breaking through. How did you know to be investigating Alex in the first place? The timing seems impossible. Ethan's gaze held mine, something unreadable passing through his eyes. Perhaps this isn't my first attempt to stop him either. My breath caught. What are you saying? Before he could answer, Mother returned, phone in hand. The first calls are made. The rest will go out tonight. He paused, noticing our proximity. Mr. Morgan, it's getting late. Will you be staying for dinner? The moment broken, Ethan stepped back. If it's not an imposition. Not at all, she replied. After what you've done for our family today, you're welcome anytime. As Mother led us toward the dining room, I caught Ethan watching me with that same inscrutable expression. If what he had hinted was true, if he too remembered a different timeline, then everything I thought I knew about the second chance was about to change. Dawn broke on what should have been my wedding day. I stood at my bedroom window, watching the event staff dismantle the elaborate garden pavilion. Workers removed chairs, folded linens, and carried away unopened champagne. The white roses, thousands of dollars worth, would be donated to local hospitals. A soft knock at my door preceded Mother's entrance. She'd aged overnight, new lines etched around her eyes. All the guests have been notified, she said, sitting heavily on the edge of my bed. Herbert Kingswood is handling the press statement. Family emergency is the official reason. I nodded, grateful for her efficiency. In my previous life, Mother had been devastated by scandal when Alex's true nature was revealed after my death. I keep thinking about the signs I missed, she murmured. The way he isolated you from your college friends. How he always steered your father's business conversations. Little things that seemed charming at the time. I sat beside her, taking her hand. Alex fooled everyone. That was his talent. Not everyone, she corrected. Not Ethan Morgan. And not you, at least not this version of you. She turned to face me fully. Olivia, what you said yesterday about remembering a past life. My phone rang, Detective Warner's name flashing on the screen. I answered immediately. Miss Johnson, I'm calling with an update. Alexander Pierce made bail an hour ago. My stomach dropped. How is that possible? He was caught with break-in equipment and poison. His father's connections, she replied grimly. Judge Harmon set a surprisingly low bail despite our objections. Mr. Pierce surrendered his passport and is under electronic monitoring, but he's free, I finished. Yes. We've stationed an officer near your property, but I recommend additional security measures. And Miss Johnson? The analysis of your father's medication came back positive for tampering. After thanking her, I relayed the news to Mother, whose face hardened with resolve. I'll speak with your father about security, she said, straightening her shoulders. The Pierces have underestimated who they're dealing with. As she left, I received a text from Ethan. Front gates in 20 minutes. Bring the USB drive from your father's safe. I'd forgotten about the drive. In my past life, Father had mentioned it only after discovering Alex's embezzlement. It contained backup servers, redundant systems, and contingency plans created by my grandfather decades ago. After retrieving it from the massive safe behind Father's office bookcase, I met Ethan at the gates. He was speaking with Jensen about optimizing the security perimeter. Walk with me, Ethan said once we were alone. We headed toward the rose garden, now quiet without the wedding preparations. Alex is out on bail, I told him. I know. His father called in favors with Judge Harmon. Ethan's jaw tightened. It's what happened last time too. I stopped walking. Last time. Ethan turned to face me, his expression grave. I didn't want to overwhelm you yesterday, but yes. I remember the previous timeline too, differently than you do. My mind reeled. How is that possible? I don't know the mechanism, he admitted. But I woke up 3 years ago with memories of a future that hadn't happened yet. A future where the Johnson family was destroyed along with others. 3 years. I echoed. But I only remembered yesterday. Different trigger points, perhaps, he suggested. In my timeline, I was investigating the collapse of Johnson Industries after your father's death. I traced it back to Alex Pierce, but by then it was too late. You were already dead. A chill ran through me despite the morning sun. So you've been preparing for this confrontation for 3 years? Building evidence, documenting Alex's pattern with other families, positioning myself to be hired for the merger assessment. He nodded at the USB drive in my hand. And searching for that. What's on it? Insurance, he replied. Your grandfather was more suspicious than your father. He created fail-safes in case someone tried to take over the company. Protocols that can't be overridden even by the CEO or the board. Before I could ask more, Vanessa's car pulled through the gates. She looked terrible, eyes red-rimmed, hair hastily pulled back. Alex is out, she said breathlessly as she approached. His father posted bail. He's already called me 6 times. Ethan tensed. What did he say? He wants to meet, she replied. He doesn't know I warned you. He thinks I'm still on his side. I exchanged looks with Ethan. This was an opportunity. Did you tell him you would? I asked. She nodded. I thought it might help to know what he's planning next. It's too dangerous, Ethan objected. He could hurt you. Not in public, Vanessa insisted. He suggested the Westbrook Hotel lobby, neutral ground with plenty of witnesses. I considered our options. Wear a wire. What? Both Ethan and Vanessa exclaimed simultaneously. Detective Warner would need a warrant for anything admissible in court, Ethan cautioned. This isn't for court, yet, I clarified. We need to know what Alex's next move is. Especially now that his father's involved. Vanessa squared her shoulders. I'll do it. We'll need equipment, Ethan said, already calculating. And a way to monitor from nearby. The urgency of the situation crystallized my resolve. In my previous life I had been reactive, always a step behind Alex. This time would be different. One more thing, I said to Vanessa. If Alex asks about the USB drive, tell him I have it. Make him believe it's important. Is it? She asked. I glanced at Ethan. Apparently it's important enough that Ethan has spent 3 years looking for it. As Vanessa left to prepare for her meeting with Alex, I turned back to Ethan. You remember a different timeline than I do. In yours, did you know me before? A shadow crossed his face. Yes, Olivia. I knew you very well. Something in his tone made my heart flutter unexpectedly. Who were you to me? That, he said softly, is a conversation for after we stop Alex Pierce. The Westbrook Hotel lobby buzzed with midday activity. Business travelers checking in, tourists consulting maps, staff moving efficiently between tasks. Vanessa sat alone at a corner table, her trembling hands wrapped around a porcelain teacup. Ethan and I occupied a secluded alcove across the room, monitoring the wireless feed from the microphone concealed in Vanessa's gold pendant necklace. Detective Warner sat nearby, unofficial but alert, having agreed to happen to be present during the meeting. Testing, testing, Vanessa's whispered voice came through our earpieces. The technology was working. Remember, I whispered, though she couldn't hear me, let him talk. Don't push. Ethan's hand covered mine briefly. She'll be fine. The USB drive from Father's safe sat between us on the table, its contents still unexamined. Father had been stunned to learn of its significance. Grandfather had never mentioned these alleged failsafes to him. We'll analyze it after this meeting, Ethan had promised. Right now, Alex is the priority. On cue, Alex strode into the lobby, impeccably dressed as always. No sign of a man who'd spent the night in jail. His electronic monitoring ankle bracelet was concealed beneath his designer pants, but I knew it was there. A small victory. Through our earpieces, we heard chairs scraping as he sat across from Vanessa. You look terrible, Alex observed coldly. I've been worried sick, Vanessa replied, her voice surprisingly steady. What happened last night? The police, the cancelled wedding. Alex's laugh lacked any humor. A temporary setback. The Johnsons think they've won, but this is just beginning. What do you mean? They have evidence against you. They know everything. Not everything, Alex countered. And evidence can disappear. Witnesses can recant. You should remember that, Vanessa. The threat in his voice made me stiffen. Ethan placed a restraining hand on my arm. I don't understand, Vanessa said, playing her role perfectly. Everything we worked for is falling apart. My father has the situation under control, Alex replied. Judge Harmon was just the first call. The DA is an old family friend. By next week the charges will be reduced to misdemeanors, if not dropped entirely. Ethan's jaw tightened. Corruption at every level. Just like before. What about Johnson Industries? Vanessa asked. That's where you come in, Alex said, his voice dropping lower. I need to know if Olivia has mentioned a USB drive from her father's safe. My eyes widened. I hadn't expected him to ask so directly. She has it, Vanessa confirmed as instructed. She won't let it out of her sight. What's on it? Alex hesitated before answering. Insurance policies. Digital keys. My father has been trying to access those systems for years. The old man Johnson was paranoid. He built backdoors and kill switches into the company infrastructure that even the board doesn't know about. Why does your father care so much about Johnson Industries specifically? Vanessa pressed, going slightly off script. There are other companies. This isn't just business, Alex snapped. It's personal. 25 years ago, Richard Johnson and my father were partners. When the tech boom hit, Johnson pushed my father out, rewrote the founding documents. Everything that should have been ours went to the Johnsons instead. This was news to me. I looked at Ethan, who nodded grimly. The rivalry runs deeper than I realized. So this is all revenge? Vanessa asked. Justice, Alex corrected. And I need that drive. Once we have it, we can finish what we started. Olivia trusts me again, Vanessa lied smoothly. I could get access to it. Alex studied her for a long moment. You warned them last night, didn't you? The sudden shift made my blood run cold. Vanessa's panicked breathing came through our earpieces. What? No, Don't lie to me, Alex's voice was deadly quiet. You disappeared for hours. Then suddenly the Johnsons show up at the board meeting with evidence? You're either working with them or you're incompetent. Neither is acceptable. Detective Warner stood, moving casually closer to their table. You're being paranoid, Vanessa insisted. I got scared when I saw the police at the estate. I hid until things calmed down. Prove your loyalty, Alex demanded. Get me the USB drive tonight. I can't just. Midnight. The old boathouse at Johnson Lake. Come alone with the drive. Alex stood abruptly. Don't disappoint me again, Vanessa. As he strode toward the exit, Detective Warner followed at a discreet distance. He knows, Vanessa whispered, the feed picking up her distress. He knows I betrayed him. We rushed to her table as soon as Alex was gone. Her face was ashen. He's planning something at the boathouse, she said. He had this look, the same look he had when he talked about handling problems. Ethan checked his watch. We have 9 hours to analyze the drive and prepare for whatever he's planning. At Johnson Mansion we gathered in Father's study. Mother and Father, Ethan and I, Detective Warner and her tech expert. The USB drive was connected to a secure, isolated laptop. It's encrypted, the tech announced after several minutes. Multiple layers. Father frowned. My father never shared the passwords with me. He wouldn't have used passwords, Ethan said unexpectedly. Your father was old school. He would have used something only family would know. All eyes turned to me. In my previous life I'd spent years after father's death sorting through grandfather's effects, learning about the man behind the empire. Try Caroline 1954, I suggested. Grandfather's wife, my grandmother, and the year they met. The tech typed it in. Nothing. I closed my eyes, thinking. What would grandfather have used that would remain secure even from his son? The island, I whispered, a memory surfacing from both timelines. Try Blue Heron Island. The tech entered it, then looked up in surprise. We're in. Files populated the screen. Contingency protocols, digital certificates, master access keys to company systems. And one video file labeled simply, "When all else fails." Grandfather's face appeared on screen, younger than I'd ever seen him in life. His message was brief but clear. If you're watching this, someone has attempted to take what's yours. What follows is the nuclear option. Use it wisely. Johnson Lake shimmered under the moonlight, its surface occasionally rippled by the autumn breeze. The boathouse, a stately structure that had stood for generations, cast a long shadow across the water. Inside our unmarked vehicle, the atmosphere was tense. The nuclear option is brilliant, Father admitted, his expression a mixture of pride and regret. My father built a shadow ledger system tracking every transaction across Johnson Industries for the past 40 years, including evidence of the original partnership with Maxwell Pierce. Detective Warner nodded. The fraudulent dissolution papers, the forged signatures. It's more than enough for criminal charges against the senior Pierce. And the transfer protocols give us control over all corporate systems. And Alex? I asked, eyes fixed on the boathouse where we expected him to appear any minute. The wiretap from this afternoon plus the attempted break-in should be sufficient, Warner replied. But if we can catch him threatening Vanessa tonight. The decoy USB drive sat in Vanessa's purse. She'd been wired again, more extensively this time with a panic button and GPS tracker. Finn checked his watch. 11:55. We should get into position. Officers were stationed around the perimeter, hidden among the trees. Father would remain in the car while Mother waited back at the house, coordinating with Barbara Chin as they executed the digital portion of Grandfather's contingency plan, systematically locking the Pierces out of every system they'd infiltrated. Ethan, Detective Warner, and I moved silently toward our designated spots. I positioned myself in the shadows near the boathouse's side entrance, close enough to intervene if necessary. At precisely midnight, Vanessa approached the main entrance. The waiting was excruciating. 5 minutes passed with no sign of Alex. Something's wrong, Ethan whispered through our earpieces. He should be here. Then the unmistakable sound of an approaching boat. A sleek vessel cut through the water, motors nearly silent. 2 figures disembarked. Alex and an older man I recognized from photographs as Maxwell Pierce. They entered the boathouse from the waterside. Vanessa, already inside, gasped audibly through our earpieces. Both Pierces are present, Detective Warner murmured into her radio. Hold positions. Through our audio feed, Alex's voice came through. It actually came. I'm impressed. I told you I would, Vanessa replied, her voice remarkably steady. I have what you wanted. Let me see it, demanded the older man, Maxwell Pierce. His voice carried the same cultured tones as his son's, but harder, more commanding. First, Vanessa countered, I want to know what happens after this. To me. To Olivia and her family. Alex laughed coldly. You're hardly in a position to make demands. Indulge her, son, Maxwell said. Miss Chin has delivered what we've sought for decades. She deserves some reassurance. The silence stretched for several agonizing seconds before Alex spoke. Olivia and her parents will face financial ruin, of course. But they'll live, disgraced but alive. Unlike my mother after Richard drove her to suicide with his betrayal. My breath caught. This vendetta ran even deeper than we'd realized. And me. Vanessa pressed. You'll be taken care of, Maxwell assured her smoothly. We reward loyalty. Enough talk, Alex snapped. The drive. We heard rustling as Vanessa presumably removed it from her purse. It's encrypted. We have people for that, Maxwell dismissed. Now. A new voice cut through our earpieces. Mother's. Activation complete. Systems locked. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. At that exact moment, both Pierce's phones began buzzing incessantly. What the hell? Alex muttered. Sir, a panicked voice came through speakerphone. We're locked out of everything. Trading platforms, bank accounts, communication systems. Nothing's responding to our credentials. Maxwell Pierce's voice turned to ice. What did you do? Me? Nothing, Vanessa replied. But I'm not the only one who knew about the USB drive. You led them to us, Alex realized, fury building in his voice. That was our cue. Detective Warner gave the signal and officers swarmed the boathouse from all directions. Ethan and I burst through the side entrance to find Vanessa backed against the wall, Alex advancing toward her with murderous rage. Police. Freeze. Warner shouted. What followed was chaos. Maxwell attempting to flee toward the boat, officers tackling him to the weathered wooden boards. Alex lunging at Vanessa before being restrained. The elder Pierce hurling threats and promises of legal retribution that fell increasingly hollow as the night progressed. Hours later, as dawn broke over Johnson Lake, we gathered in Father's study. The news channels were already reporting the arrest of Maxwell Pierce on multiple fraud charges. Alex faced additional charges of attempted murder, breaking and entering, and evidence tampering. The family legacy is secure, Father said, raising a glass of his finest scotch. Thanks to all of you. Mother squeezed his hand. And to your father's foresight. Vanessa sat quietly in the corner, exhaustion etched on her face. What happens to me now? Immunity, Detective Warner confirmed. In exchange for your testimony. And a fresh start, I added. If you want it. The weight of 2 lifetimes, one lived in tragedy, one rewritten with a second chance, settled around me as I stepped onto the balcony for a moment alone. Ethan followed, closing the door behind him. You never told me, I said softly. In your timeline. Who were you to me? He leaned against the railing, eyes reflecting the morning light. We met during the investigation into your family's company collapse. I was pursuing the Pierces. You were searching for answers about your parents' deaths. And? I prompted. And we fell in love, he said simply. We were engaged when you discovered evidence linking Alex to your poisoning. The night you confronted him. His voice caught. I was too late. Understanding washed over me. That's why you remembered. Why you came back. He nodded. I woke up 3 years ago with all those memories intact. A second chance to save you. I reached for his hand, feeling the familiar unfamiliarity of it. Known from another life, new in this one. Where do we go from here? I asked. Ethan smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from him. Anywhere we want. That's the gift of a second chance. The future is unwritten. As the sun rose fully over the estate my family had built, preserved, and now saved again, I realized that rebirth had given me more than just revenge. It had given me wisdom, perspective, and perhaps most precious of all, a love strong enough to transcend time itself.